Hello, I'm Mike, and welcome to 33 Mile Garage. Today, we're going to put an exhaust system on Haley's Jeep. It's just a inexpensive FlowMaster system. Kind of curious to see what it sounds like. We might love it, or we might hate it. Not really sure yet, but we'll get it on there and find out. So right now, I'll just start it up and let you listen to it with the old exhaust with a hole in it, just to get a feel for what we're dealing with. Sounds fairly normal. When you're sitting outside, you can hear you can hear the blow by from the exhaust coming out of the hole in it. All right, let's go for a quick drive and we'll listen to it on the road. See how it sounds. The thing good about a Jeep is when you got stuff in the way, it's definitely easy to get around. And for some reason, our driveway is filled with stuff in the way all the time. Alrighty. You can see where the exhaust is starting to separate right through there. It's all rot, it's starting to rust, and there's a hole down at the bottom. You can see all the black soot and stuff that's starting to come out of the hole. And then you can also hear the bit of an exhaust leak from there too. And as soon as you accelerate, you can really hear it pretty good. This is what the kit came with for $180-ish. You got a really nice mandrel bent tailpipe section. This is the adapter that goes into the catalytic, the back of the flange, the catalytic converter that goes through. Let's see, that's a Super 44 muffler that it has. So this is going to be kind of funny. Haley's getting ready, as soon as I get this done, tonight she's driving up north. But this might be a little bit louder than she expects on the freeway. We're going to see her reaction when she hears that. The Jeep has an exhaust leak now, so it is a little bit louder than it probably should be. But I'm not sure if this is going to be a little bit way louder than she thinks it is. We'll find out. I do have, spinning right over here on my Corvette, I do have Super 40s on my Corvette, but I'm curious to see how much louder. I'm going to go fire this up for you right now and see how loud these are. All right, we're underneath the Jeep. You can see where the muffler's sitting and where the connection is down underneath the skid pan here. So instead of trying to fight this connection and get the bolts off reaching back in there, I'm just going to drop the skid pan. So what I did is I put a jack underneath it, just put a 2x4 to hold it and braced up against the frame. And then I am going to squirt everything down with a little blaster just to make sure the bolts come out. So we've got 4 13mm bolt nuts that have to come off in the center. All right, a word of caution and very important. Put a jack stand on the end of your transfer case, right just the rear of the skid pan. Is what's going to happen. You drop the skid pan down and the transmission transfer case are going to want to go with it. So they're going to want to start to fall towards the ground. So you want to be safe and make sure you block that up so it doesn't fall on you. If that starts to fall, what will happen is it's going to start stretching your plugs, your shifter, all that stuff's going to come down, and especially your four-wheel drive shifter. There's a pin that goes into the body. If you let that fall down, so you're going to rip that pin out of the body and cause all kinds of problems with your four-wheel drive selector. So be careful and be safe, man. Make sure that you're getting a jack stand underneath the transfer case before you drop the skid pan. Next up, we're going to get these 4 18mm bolts out. Guys are in there, man. They are crusty. All right, this front one was really tight. I wound up getting it off. I just put a breaker bar on it, and actually put a pipe on it to break it off, but I did able to get it broken loose. It wasn't too big of a deal. All right, here we go, driver's side. Let's see. Hopefully everything comes out good here. Well, that one did not want to give it up. Alright, drop the pan down. Hopefully that'll drop it. There we go. Piece of cake. When I went to get it out from underneath the Jeep, a lot of dirt and stuff spilled out. So instead of moving it and cleaning it somewhere else, I already got a mess on the floor. So Haley's taking it off-roading this weekend anyway. So whatever I scrape out of here right now is just going to go back in tomorrow. Well, somebody definitely put an aftermarket exhaust on here at one point in time. So these bolts are both different sizes and the nuts are both different sizes, which is kind of funny. but they're both rusted on here pretty good. Don't know if they're going to come off. Yep, that works too though. Breaking them is a good option. I'm not using anything off of there. Let's see what happens on the other one. The brakes are. Let's see what happens. Come off there. No. Well, I'm not going to say that I'm sad that they just broke off. All right, next up, we're going to pop the grommet off the exhaust hanger. We're just going to put a little Dawn dish soap on the end of that grommet. Slide through that grommet a little easier. There's a tool to do this, but I believe the only tool right now is me. Oh, yeah. All right, so we got this back grommet here that we're gonna get off. Maybe this one will be easier. Put some soap in there, push the grommet forward, pull the exhaust pipe back, and this one's gonna slip out, no problem. Piece of cake. All right, so the exhaust is free. Now the only thing is we gotta be able to work it over the axle. See how that comes out. Hopefully easy. To get the muffler and tailpipe over the axle and out. So the muffler is not going through, and I have a feeling the tailpipe is not coming out this way. So I believe that I might have to make a cut at the end of the exhaust. This one's welded, but all right. Going underneath the car, got the Sawzall ready to go. Got my glasses on, and I'm also smelling good, man. I spilled so much Dawn dish soap all over me, man. All I smell is dish soap now. So, and anyway, quit screwing around and get back to work. And we're just gonna make a cut right across there, break that in two different pieces. See how this goes. I got a good ripper blade on here. And I need to be careful too, because the last thing I want to do is I don't want to hit that diff or anything. So I'm gonna aim that blade down. How did that sound? I'll tell you what, it did not sound good to me. That's freaking loud. Anyway, so the pipe's out of the way, and I should be able to slide the tailpipe right out of the back. Should be no problem now. Slip this right out the back now. There we go. Out she comes. So the new flange in the converter did not come with nuts. I found some I had here, so I got flange nuts for that. Obviously, I'm not going to reuse the old ones. I wound up breaking those off. They were jammed down there so bad. The one thing is disappointing. I'm surprised the kit didn't come with new nuts. That's a little bit. I also got this paper on here. I'm going to wire wheel all that paper off there. I don't want that burning and smoking. So I'll get that done and get this flange ready to bolt on. All right, so the way this exhaust setup is going to work is this inlet is going to go over the top of this piece. So I'm going to go grab some thinner and clean the rest of this off really good, as I don't want this thing leaking. I want to make sure they got a good, nice seal in there. So get the rest of that crap cleaned off there. Next, the old one, just so I could figure out where I'm going to place the hangers. These hangers are clamp style hangers versus the old ones are welded on. I prefer the welded on hangers, but the only thing that's going to be good about these is I will be able to adjust them and move them around a little bit to get the exhaust exactly where I want it. So that's the only advantage to it. Other than that, I'm not really a fan of these. Actually, I'm going to snake the new exhaust back through there. So I'll put these clamps on in the same position the old ones were, and just kind of roughly snug them down. I'm going to pass this through and I'll get the front one in. I just want to get it over the axle first. I cleaned this up really good. I got that sticker off. That was a pain in the butt to get off. This surface is all nice and clean. I got to clean up the surface on the back of the catalytic converter here. So I'm going to wipe this off good. I'm going to take some sandpaper once I get it wiped down good. See if I can't give that a good clean up. Because I want to make sure that this flange seals really good against this one. I don't want any exhaust leaks. So let's see what happens with this. And spiffy it will be. sometimes these are the things that make your projects go longer, but man, a little investment in time here will keep you from peeling the exhaust system off later and trying to fix this again. Yeah. I'm going to slip the muffler in place. Unfortunately, there was no instructions at all that came with this thing, but that is the inlet side. Says that on there right there. So the one thing I don't know is the opposite side is offset. I'm going to have to flip. I might have to flip this 180 once I get it in place. So the offset in the muffler is going to go to the drive shaft side or the inside of vehicle. So I really need more than 80 minutes to do it. All right. So exhaust is slid in. So I believe that they left this tailpipe section way long. So what's happening is this whole setup is definitely what I believe to be too long. I think what they did is left the tailpipe. They didn't trim the tailpipe. They left that long so you could trim this section off the tailpipe when you figured out the length you wanted. So what I'm gonna do is, it needs more than 2 inches, but I'm going to take 2 inches off first and see how it fits up, see if I can get everything to align, and then I can make a final adjustment. But I don't want to take too much off of it right from the get-go. So I'm going to take 2 inches off and then realign the whole thing. So I'm pulling everything back out and snaking the tailpipe out to make that cut. Alright, I've got everything fit back up into place. The flanges all fit really nice. One of the problems I had is when I took the transmission cross member out and the skid plate out, what I did is I let this drop down too far after I took the skid plate out. So what it was doing, it was causing the exhaust system to pitch down a little bit. So I got that back up into position now. So everything lined up perfect. I did have to take about 4 inches off of this joint right here before I could get the exhaust to fit up. But now I got everything fit up really nice. The only other concern that I have, and I can cut this off, is right around here on the back side where the body bolt comes down. And see, I get pretty close to there. So what I might do is I might cut this back about right here, and then I'll put a turn down like this where that bolt is, because the last thing I would want is, I don't want the exhaust system coming up and rattling against there. But once I get the cross member put back in and everything fit up really good where I want it, then I'll make it a decision on what I want to do here, because I can just come back in. This is easy to access, and I can saws all that off if I need to. All right, I'm just gonna final snug these two bolts up. Make sure that everything nice and snug here. What I'm doing is just I'm working my way back and forth because I want to make sure these flanges stay nice and even. Back and forth, and these will tighten almost right down. I'm starting to bow a little bit, so. Alright, so I got those snugged up. Now I got the muffler right where I want it. So I'm going to tighten these guys down. I'm going to leave this one loose for right now, because I still want to be able to adjust the tailpipe a little bit and get that into position. So we'll go back next here. I have to make sure that I have all this perfect, because when I put that skid plate back on, it's going to cover all this up and it's going to be very difficult to get at it. Tighten these a little bit tighter than I normally would, because I'm not going to be able to get back at them again. All right. So these joints are all tightened up. I'm going to make an adjustment on the tailpipe and tighten this guy next, and then I'll do the clamps. All right, back now to the end of the tailpipe here. We're really good as far as clearance on everything. We're away. The only thing that we're a little bit tight right on this bolt here. I don't really like that very much, but I think I'm going to cut this off and drop the pipe down, drop the tailpipe down right in that area, similar to what was on there before. I'm going to do that type of style. So I'll get this thing tightened down. All right, now that I got these joints straightened around, I got the tailpipe looked at, everything looks pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the skid pan in, the skid pan back on, because that's going to set the adjustment to where the exhaust is actually going to lay. and then I'll make final adjustments, and then these other clamps are past the skid plate, so I can adjust those. The only two that I can't really mess with are here and here with the skid plate in place. So and then getting the skid plate back in place, that makes sure that I get the height of the transfer case, the trans, and the exhaust in the right position, because as I lower, you know, the jack up and down or whatever, it makes a difference on where this exhaust sits. So I don't want any extra tension on the exhaust while I make that adjustment. All right, next thing we're going to do is, as this pan comes up, I want to line those 4 bolts that are coming down on the cross member. So this is a little tricky to do. You really can't see too much. I'm using these other holes as kind of a guideline, so I can kind of get them started. There we go. Straight in, no problem. Now I can make some adjustments here and get these other bolts started. So plan is to get these guys here. So let me hand start these dudes. I'm just going to get some these halfway tighten up my hand, or by ratchet, sorry, just to make sure that we're good and snug on everything. These halfway threaded in. I don't want anything falling out. Come on to the other side. All right, you can see what I got into right now. That I got the other side started, but I'm gonna have to come up a little bit higher so I can start shifting these bolts around. So I'm gonna come up with the jack another couple pumps. All right, we'll do a quick start up so you can hear it with the new exhaust on. See if it makes a difference. There we go. You can tell it's got a little bit of a rumble to it, but it's not very loud at all. I'll rev it up a few times. A touch of a rumble at idle, but as soon as you accelerate a little bit, I don't hear much of anything. What it sounds like on the inside of the car. Pop it up. Up to speed, actually, that sounds pretty good. Alright, that's pretty much going to wrap up the video. I'm pretty happy with the exhaust. It was at a pretty reasonably priced at about 180 bucks. FlowMaster exhaust, FlowMaster mufflers for sure, but I think I had a little bit on the exhaust system because it's not a put together FlowMaster system by any stretch of the imagination. I bought a FlowMaster system, a Force 2 system for my Corvette a little while ago, and it came with band clamps, it came with really nice instructions, the packaging was really good. Everything in this, besides the FlowMaster muffler in a box that said FlowMaster on it, that was truly a FlowMaster muffler, no doubt. There was a piece of pipe that was not cut to length, stuck in a box, and all the parts were just randomly thrown in the bottom of the box, and the hardware wasn't complete either. So there wasn't nuts for the exhaust flange or anything like that. So the stuff that I bought in previous from FlowMaster had everything and instructions. I mean, it was, you know, a complete kit. So I don't think this kit came from FlowMaster. I think they advertised it that way. Somebody put the kit together and put a FlowMaster muffler in, to be honest with you, I think that's what happened. So I kind of might have been had a little bit, but overall I'm happy with it. You know, I had to cut the pipe down and stuff. The pipe was good quality. You know, of course, FlowMaster muffler is a good quality muffler, and you know, the rest of the parts I made do with, you know, at home. I was really frustrated as far as that I had to cut everything down. I was expecting everything to be to length, so a little disappointed there, but hey, nonetheless. Anyway, I'm Mike, and thanks for watching 33 Mile Garage.